Jim, another popular topic, and it actually happened last week, but it happened after we recorded the show, so we didn't get to really talk about it. But recently, Dax Harwood did an interview on Renee, what is her actual last name that she uses now? Renee Paquette.
Paquette.
On her show, which used to be the Oral Sessions.
You know what? They missed a great opportunity to name her show Hot Paquette.
Well, it used to be the Oral Sessions, but I guess they've thought wiser of that. Now it's just the Sessions.
After Max Caster's rap, I think they probably put in a change order on that one. But Hot Paquette, I think that would be perfect.
Well, there's still time, I assume. But recently on her program, she had Dax Harwood of FTR, AEW's FTR. And he had some comments about Raw 25. Now, we talked with him about that actually on The Experience a few years back before they went to AEW. But he didn't share these details, I don't think. Let's go to this. I'm going to read you this quote. Let me know what you think on the other side. Now, if you remember, Raw 25 is when FTR were destroyed by Hunter and his friends. The Clique came back together to destroy the top heel tag team that had just come up from NXT. For a lot of guys, it's like, oh, it's a paycheck. Who cares? But not to me. There's a legacy I want to leave. But that happened. And I talked to Shawn. That was the first time we had talked since the Performance Center days. I told him, man, this happened. Tore my bicep, went through a really dark period, and thought I was going to quit, but thankfully, I have the greatest wife in the world, and she has supported me and brought me out of this funk and out of this dark place, and I'm here now. I'm super happy. He said, I was the same way. I was in this very dark spot in my life, and I was watching Nitro, and I ordered the tallest girl I could see. No, hold on, let me go back to this quote here. I was in this very dark spot that my wife, she's beautiful, she pulled me out of this dark spot too. You and your partner are way too talented to be doing what you're doing tonight. You are way too talented to stay at this point. Just keep your nose to the ground and keep grinding, and you'll get over. And I said, oh, Shawn, thank you so much. We had this bonding moment. And then we get in front of his friends. X-Pac, Hunter, Billy Gunn, Road Dogg, Scott Hall. And as soon as we got in front of his friends, he started making fun of me and making fun of my situation and what happened with my bicep. I was like, man, I just poured my heart out to you. And as soon as we get in front of your friends, because we're going to go over that they're going to beat the shit out of us, you decide to take all that stuff and make fun of me about it. And then this caused, I believe that day when the story broke, Bret Hart to trend on Twitter, because a lot of people said once again, see, Bret was the good guy, not Shawn. He's still the same way. And that's how you and I, or specifically...
Who the fuck has ever said that Bret was the bad guy out of Bret and Shawn, except for Shawn and or The Office? Nobody else really, did they?
Some people have looked differently on him. They think he's a different guy today than he was back then. But when you hear a story like this and you hear about this experience for Dax, especially that position in his career, what are your thoughts on this whole thing?
Well, I'm not surprised. I mean, that's what I would have expected to hear because Michael, the whole group that you just mentioned, and poor Sean Waltman, he's like the nicest guy in prison or the babyface member of the, fucking terrorist group or whatever. But most of them.
And he actually, let me just jump in and specifically say there was another quote. He pointed out that after they did the angle where everyone beat them up, the only one that came over, and he said this on our show too, the only one that came over and shook their hands and said thank you was Sean Waltman, which isn't a surprise.
So I say Michael's in his group. I'm talking about the main instigator perpetrators. They treated everybody like it was so childish. It was like they were the high school football jocks in the teen movie that were going around being dicks to everybody in the locker room when they were grown adults in their 30s at that point. And that's why I have always said I didn't understand why Vince put up with it or how that this whole thing came to be and that these, pilled up goofballs could be running rampant. But, and then everybody said, Shawn Michaels changed, he had the time off and then he found religion and everything. When you used to be a dick and then you find religion, to me, that invariably means you're a dick with delusions. You used to be a dick, you're still a dick, just now you're a dick with delusions that there are invisible supreme beings. Anybody that was a dick beforehand generally is a dick afterwards. And some people are going to say, well, Lex wasn't a dick on purpose. Sometimes he just came off as a dick. But I never found him to be a dick on purpose, at least not to the level of these dicks. Some of the biggest dicks that you would find in the wrestling business. So I'm not surprised at that statement at all. I just wish that it was Dax, right? I just wish that Dax would have known better than to try to have a honest conversation with this goofball when he was near his childish boys club treehouse friends. If he'd have been alone, he might not have said anything about it, but he was with all of his buddies.
And it says something, too, about backstage problems and morale problems there when this was happening. Hunter's involved. Obviously, at that point, Hunter was still alive. Also, Shawn is involved.
Oh, goddamn.
Shawn was Hunter's best friend.
Wait a minute. Oh, Jesus. At that point, Hunter was still alive.
I mean, Hunter was still there.
You didn't realize what you just said?
He's still alive, ladies and gentlemen. Or so we're being led to believe.
You were just speaking figuratively.
Maybe I was. We will never find out. But the point is, Hunter, someone who was an executive there, was involved in that whole thing. Obviously, it was probably his idea, quite frankly. Shawn, who was a big muckety-muck in NXT, is involved in that thing. And he's the one doing this. Like, to me, and I know it wouldn't happen, that's a firing offense. You're not someone who's supposed to be doing that. That's not your role. If you're going to be a trainer, if you're going to be a producer, do that. But to turn around and do that to talent?
Well, that also just showed, again, if this was still the professional wrestling business, FTR is the best in-ring tag team in the business, and companies would be fighting for them like the Midnight Express was getting offers from people all over the place to fucking do whatever because they're valuable. But in the land of, fucking sports entertainment, and they'd probably already got the word from Vince that I don't like those guys. All they do is wrestle. They remind me of Blanchard and Anderson. If he remembered who Tully and Arn were. And then they go to the only other viable company in the fucking country, and it's run by cosplaying middle schoolers that are jealous that these guys are real wrestlers and bring them in to bury them. They've gone from the frying pan into the fire. But it's obvious that if Shawn and Triple H and all those guys were fucking around with them then, that they didn't have any serious plans for them. And it's a shame. That's why there are not, we're always arguing and bemoaning and bitching about why there's no more, or not any more than there are great pro wrestlers in the world left these days. That's because if in a lot of cases, if they have talent to be great professional wrestlers, they're run out of the fucking business by the trampoline jumping gymnasts and the goddamn assholes that want entertainers. Yeah.